Krishna. It was so It was too good to stop. He had come far, far from Vrindavana, survived the non-Krishna Yoga Society, waited all winter in obscurity. America had waited hundreds of years with no Krishna chanting. No Hare Krishna had come from Thoreau or Emerson's appreciations, though they had poured over English translations of the Gita and Puranas. And no Kirtana had come from Vivekananda's famous speech on behalf of Hinduism at the World Parliament of Religions in Chicago in 1893. So now that he finally had Krishna Bhakti going, flowing like the Ganges to the sea, it could not stop. In his heart, he felt the infinite will of Lord Chaitanya to deliver the fallen souls. He knew this was the desire of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his own spiritual master, even though caste-conscious Brahmanas in India would disapprove of his associating with such untouchables as these drug-mad American meat-eaters and their girlfriends. But Swamiji explained that he was in full accord with the scriptures. The Bhagavatam had clearly stated that Krishna consciousness should be delivered to all races. Everyone was a spiritual soul. Regardless of birth, they could be brought to the highest spiritual platform by chanting the holy name. Never mind whatever sinful things they were doing, these people were perfect candidates for Krishna consciousness. Tompkins Square Park was Krishna's plan. It was also part of the earth, and these people were members of the human race, and the chanting of Hare Krishna was the dharma of the age. Walking back home in the early evening past the shops and crowded tenements, followed by more than a dozen interested new people from the park, the Swami again sustained occasional shouts and taunts, but those who followed him from the park were still feeling the aura of an ecstasy that easily tolerated a few taunts from the street. Prabupada especially was undisturbed as he walked with his head high. Not speaking, he was gravely absorbed in his thoughts, and yet his eyes actively noticed people and places and exchanged glances with those whom he passed on his way along 11th Street, past the churches and funeral homes, across First Avenue to the noisy, heavily trafficked Second Avenue, then down Second past liquor stores, coin laundries, delicatessens, past the Iglesia Alianza Cristiana Misiana, the Koh-i-Noor, the Intercontinental Restaurant Palace, then past the Church of the Nativity, and finally back home to number 26. There was a crowd of people from the park standing on the sidewalk outside the storefront, young people waiting for him to arrive and unlock the door to matchless gifts. They wanted to know more about the dance and the chant and the elderly Swami and his disciples who had created such a beautiful scene in the park. They filled the storefront. Outside on the sidewalk, the timid or uncommitted loitered near the door or window, smoking and waiting or peering in and trying to see the paintings on the wall. Swamiji entered and walked directly to his dais and sat down before the largest gathering that had ever graced his temple. He spoke further of Krishna consciousness, the words coming as naturally as breathing as he could at the Sanskrit authority behind what they had all been experiencing in the park. Just as they had all chanted today, he said, so everyone should chant always. A long-haired girl sitting close to Swamiji's dais raised her hand and asked, seemingly in a trance, when I am chanting, I feel a great concentration of energy in my forehead, and then a buzzing comes and a reddish light. Just keep on chanting, Swamiji replied, it will clear up. What what does the chanting produce? She seemed to be coming out of her trance now. Chanting produces chanting, he replied, just as when you are calling the name of your beloved. If there is someone you love very much, then you want to repeat his name again and again. It is out of love. A man spoke up without raising his hand. But isn't it just a kind of hypnotism or on sound? Like if I chanted Coca-Cola over and over, wouldn't it be the same? No, Prabhupada replied. You take any word, repeat it for 10 minutes, and you will feel disgusted. But we chant 24 hours. We don't feel tired. We f- we feel new energy. The questions seemed more relevant today. The guests had all been chanting in the park, and now they were probing philosophically into what they had experienced. The Swami's followers marked this as a victory, and they felt some responsibility as hosts and guides for the others. Swamiji had asked Kirtanandan to prepare some prasadam for the guests, and soon Kirtanandana appeared with small paper cups of sweet rice for everyone. The chanting process is just to cleanse the mind, said Prabhupada. We have so many misunderstandings about oneself, ourself, about this world, about God, and the relationship between these things. We have so many misgivings. This chanting will help to cleanse the mind. Then you will understand that this chanting is not different from Krishna. A boy who was accompanying the long-haired girl spoke out incoherently. Yes, no, Prabhupada said. Yes, 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 in the beginning we have to chant. We may be in whatever position we are. It doesn't matter. If you begin chanting, the first benefit will be Sirodarpana Marjanam. The mind will be clear of all dirty things, and the next stage will be that the sufferings, the miseries of this world will subside. Boy, well, I don't quite understand what the material world is because, Prabhupada, the material world is full of sufferings and miseries. Don't you understand that? Are you happy? Boy, sometimes I'm happy, sometimes I'm not. Prabhupada, no, you're not happy. That sometimes is your imagination. Just like a diseased man says, oh yes, I am well. What is that well? He's going to die, isn't he? And he is well? I don't claim any ultimate happiness, said the boy. Prabhupada, no, you do not know what happiness is. Boy, but it's greater or lesser. Prabhupada, yes, you do not know what is happiness. An older man standing with his arms folded near the rear of the temple. Well, of course, the sorrow that suffering might add the spice to make that suffering that goes in between seem happiness. Hmm. Prabhupada, no, the thing is that there are different kinds of miseries that we all understand. It is only due to our ignorance that we don't care for it. Just like a man who is suffering for a long time, he's forgotten what is real happiness. Similarly, the sufferings are there already. For example, and he directed himself to the young man with his girlfriend. Take, for example, that you are a young man. Now, would you like to become an old man? Boy, I will become an old man if in the process of Prabhupada, you will become, means you will be forced to become an old man, but you don't like to become an old man. Boy, I am not going to be forced to become an old man. Prabhupada, yes, yes, forced. You will be forced. Boy, I don't see why. Prabhupada, if you don't want to become an old man, you will be forced to become an old man. Boy, it's one of the conditions of Prabhupada. Yes, that condition is miserable. Boy, I find it not miserable. I find it not miserable. Prabhupada, because you're a young man, but ask any old man how he is suffering. You see, a diseased man, do you want to be diseased? Boy, I wouldn't search it out. Prabhupada, Boy, I wouldn't search it out. Prabhupada, no, no, just answer me. Do you like to be diseased? Boy, what is disease? Prabhupada, just answer. Boy, what is disease? Prabhupada, oh, you have never suffered from disease? You have never suffered from disease? Prabhupada looks dramatically incredulous. Boy, had I have had the mumps and the measles and whooping cough, which is what everyone has, and you get over it. Some people in the audience laugh. Prabhupada, everyone may be suffering, but that does not mean that it is not suffering. We have to admit that we are always in suffering. Boy, if I have never known happiness, I feel I have never known suffering either. I feel sure I have never known suffering either. So, in this excerpt, Prabhupada is considering who he's teaching to and why it's necessary. Um, there have been some questions about if he should be teaching such rascals in America, the meat eating people with girlfriends and boyfriends, if they were worthy of hearing. And thankfully, Prabhupada said they were a great population to share the Krishna chanting with because it helps to cleanse. After his evening kirtana, he came back to the shop and he found more and more people with philosophical questions. This time, as opposed to just inquiries. So everyone thought that was a pretty big win. The philosophical questions were more like, what am I receiving from chanting? Prabhupada says that it's like calling the name of the one you love. You want to say it over and over again. And it's not like just repeating whatever word over and over again that makes you feel disgusting inside. Uh, Chanting the Lord's name over and over again helps to cleanse the mind, um, helps to cleanse the self of the toxicities we put in our minds and bodies every day to help purify it step by step so we can become closer to Krishna consciousness.